Crazy how I'm doing another one of these so close to the first one. Once again, I am delighted to say that after a long wait for a lot of you guys, not necessarily for me, though it has been a little while, I am really glad to say that Bleach seems to be coming back. It's not as confirmed as it was with the Hunter x Hunter one, but there seems to be lots of news all around the net, leaks, and a lot of sources are jumping on it. Let me just read it. Sorry, I guess, here, let me just make it so you can see it. According to multiple leaks, Bleach by Tite Kubo will be returning to Weekly Shonen Jump with a Hell Arc serialization. Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki will be ending in the upcoming weeks, freeing a slot in the magazine for the new Bleach series. This is from @WSJ_manga, but it's being picked up by tons of outlets. Tons of outlets. And so the news is buzzing today. I'm recording this on Saturday, June 20th, 2026, that Bleach is making its eagerly anticipated return after 5 years since the Hell Arc one-shot, which got so many people frothing at the mouth, hooked by the idea of a further exploration of this world and this incredible premise of an arc, which I will get into in a second. Now, I just finished my first read ever of Bleach after a year or so of streams, maybe a little less than that, 10 months or so, and ending with checking out the Hell Arc one-shot. And a lot of you guys have seen that. It was a fantastic stream journey, one of my favorites I've done, and it ended with Bleach becoming one of my favorite shonen of all time, one of my favorite stories of all time. In the past year, I did my top 100 ranking, and Bleach was number 20. It was number 25, I believe, around 25. Now it's risen a bunch of spots to number 20 or so. I thoroughly love Bleach. I made tons of videos on it. There will be another video on Gin on the main channel in the next few weeks. I adore Bleach, and it's become one of the series that people associate with me, and my journey through was so special. But I finished it about a year and a few months ago, maybe a year and 3 months ago, a year and 4 months ago, something like that. And I've been waiting since then. A lot of you guys have been waiting for 5 years since the Hell Arc one-shot, and more than that since the series ended. I don't know exactly. So you guys have been waiting hella long if you've been with it from the beginning. I'm lucky in that I got into Bleach in the midst of what for a lot of people is their favorite part of the anime adaptation. I do really like the TYBW adaptation, and now this. I do want to say this isn't 100% confirmed. These are leaks that people are picking up on apparently, but it's hit the news, it's hit the mainstream, and I think from what I can tell, it seems to be reputable enough that we can pretty safely say that Bleach is returning to Weekly Shonen Jump. Who could envision a world where in 2026, Togashi is back? We knew he was likely coming back eventually, but Kubo as well at the same time, running it back from a couple of decades ago like crazy. Oda's been here forever, of course. So yeah, it's crazy. It's so incredibly exciting, and it's something I've been anticipating for a year and a bit now. Again, not as much as you guys, but it's been something that I, ever since I checked out the Hell Arc one-shot, have been really desperate for. Now, I've talked about Bleach's ending before. I think that Bleach's ending is very good, a little bit too, not necessarily as powerful as some of the best endings to any given story I could talk about, like Attack on Titan for me, or Hunter x Hunter 148 specifically, or Haikyuu, or Eva, or some of my favorite endings in anime that I've talked about in previous videos. But I thought it was very good, and specifically the last scene, the courage speech, the monologue from Aizen, is one of my favorite scenes in all of fiction. And I really think that could end, that is worthy of ending the series. However, it was one of those endings where it's not like Naruto or Breaking Bad, where I watched it and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to see El Camino. I don't want to see Boruto. I'm happy with where we've ended, and I don't want more of the universe, because actually, it's just perfect as is, and I don't want any more. Not the case with Bleach. I think there is so much untapped potential in Bleach that I think Kubo must be desperate to let out, and seems to be desperate to let out, that I would love to further explore. And the Hell Arc one-shot only further solidified that. Now, to just really quickly go through the premise of what the Hell Arc is, we ended with Thousand Year Blood War. We ended with that Aizen monologue. Again, spoilers. I guess if you couldn't guess that by this point. But yeah, we end there, and then we start with this Hell Arc one-shot, I believe 12 to 13 years after the series ended. I have not read it. I have not read it since last year, like I said, 15 to 16 months ago. So it's not fresh in my mind, so don't quote me on some of these details. But essentially what's going on is we are seeing a time skip. A lot of the main characters have hooked up, have hitched up together. Ichigo's together with Orihime, Rukia and Renji. They have kids. We are seeing where these characters are going. A lot of them have progressed in their lives, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. However, a concept gets introduced where the Gote 13 hold a ritual called, I don't actually know what it's called, but what it essentially is it's tied to the metaphysics and the world building and the nature of souls and soul society and all that, in that there are characters who have passed away, who have died throughout this series. Again, spoiler warning, there's the likes of Ukitake and Yamamoto and Gin and Unohana. Lots of fantastic characters. These are some of my favorite in the whole series, who died. However, they were not able to naturally pass on and be absorbed and integrated into Soul Society because, simply put, the world cannot handle their level of power and strength, and just overall, I guess, energy. Again, these little details I might be a bit flimsy on because it's been a while, but that's the gist of it. And because of this, Soul Society cannot handle their souls. If they were to be attempted to integrate into that, the world would be completely out of whack, it would go out of balance, and it would not be good. It would kind of break the entire sanctity of the world, and the universe would be out of whack, and horrible stuff would happen. It would put the world in danger. So in order to prevent this, those in Soul Society perform a ritual to essentially send their souls to hell. And what happens is they are condemned to hell. They kind of fester for the sake of maintaining the balance and sanctity of the world. And in hell, this music's funny, this serene music, in hell, they twist and they morph and they alter and they fester negativity and darkness. And this is so good and prime for thematic exploration of these characters, about the nature of the world, as a lot of these characters, Yamamoto, were tasked with maintaining the balance of the Soul Society in the first place for the sake of harmony, of the status quo, because the alternative was so dangerous. Tipping the world out of balance was so dangerous that they had to maintain. However, now, for the sake of that, they are being sent to hell. And they are being condemned to this horrific existence that has caused them to experience all this. How do they feel about this? How does Yamamoto feel about this? How does Ukitake feel about this? It's really, really fascinating to me for that to be explored. I think it could lead to some hypocrisy. It could lead to some really great examinations of the Soul Society. It's been examined very well already, but I think it could be further examined for sure. I think it's ripe for that. It was all done for the sake of harmony, but at what cost? If these souls are kind of forgotten and cast off in this way. So now that they are on the receiving end, is there hypocrisy there? Is there a changing of the mind? Are there negative dark sides exposed in some of these dynamics? There is so much potential there. Because specifically, a lot of these characters who could be potentially revisiting through being festering in hell, and then being brought up to back into the story, a lot of these characters are one half of a dynamic, of a partnership. There is Unohana, potentially, her and Kenpachi. We had this amazing, incredible, one of the best shonen fights ever, one of my favorite moments in Bleach, between Unohana versus Kenpachi. The incredible fight. I made a whole video about it on my main channel, if you're interested. And that was kind of Kenpachi's ushering into the world, proper maturation, coming of age, etc., his rebirth. But now, what could be the dynamic there if they were to fight again, or meet again, or if he were to be confronted? Is Unohana kind of still Unohana? Is she still her in spirit, or is she moving off of hatred and bitterness in one way or another? Can Kenpachi potentially use what he has learned from her to put her to rest in some way, or to teach her, or to reflect on her the monster that she is? There's so many directions it could go in. That's just one. There's Yamamoto. There's any number of characters that Yamamoto, I think, could be juxtaposed with. And again, specifically with Yamamoto, there's lots of examinations of the nature of society and what happens when he's on the receiving end, when he is a negative byproduct of doing this for the status quo, for the sake of the collective. There's Ukitake. Ukitake, who was an unfortunate byproduct of that as well. It's ripe for him confronting Shunsui. Oh my god. In one way or another, there's just so much juice in these potential meetups that could happen. And even maybe Gin could see Rangiku. What will he be moved by? What has festered for him? Because, and I keep mentioning that all this stuff festers, this darkness is there. It's because it was explained by Zaya Laporo, very underrated character, great character, who came back in the Hell arc, who said, and I did double check the chapter before recording this, but he says that after being in hell, hate and suffering flows from his brain uninhibited, changing him, morphing him, uninhibiting him, freeing him in a way. But he is undoubtedly changed. So I look at that and I talk about that applied to some of these characters. Will it bring about an envy, or a jealousy, or a bitterness, or a darkness between them and the people they love or care for that wasn't there before? Does Gin unleash this hatred on Rangiku? Is there some blame that he feels for her that festers that he didn't really feel during life, but does he blame her unfairly for things that happened to him after death? I don't know. Ukitake with Shunsui, right? Yamamoto, what could explode from him? Unohana, like I said, there's so much potential for that, and it's so exciting. Through these maybe unresolved negative feelings, or feelings that maybe need closure as a result, or feelings that maybe are created through the festering in hell, through being condemned. It is not humane for them to be tossed down there, and for them to come up and have these dynamics that could be further explored and given new layers is fascinating. And there are multiple others that could be a part of this that I haven't even named. And then there are some characters who I cannot wait to see examine the idea of hell. Mayuri is one that comes to mind. What will he do with these souls, or this concept? Kisuke. Oh, Aizen. I really think that while Aizen is not likely to be a really distinct part of the Hell arc, as in, I don't think he's going to be in every chapter. I think he's going to play a huge role regardless. I think it's right for that. And there's Kazui. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Kazui. I was just making sure that was Ichigo's child's name. Ichigo and Odahime's kid is shown to have a dark, like a purity. He seems to have a fascination with and an affinity for the supernatural, an affinity for these portals that are shown to be connections to hell. And one thing we know about shonen protagonists and purity, Gone Freaks, Hinata Shoujo, that Kazui seems to be channeling, is that purity can go both ways. It can be beautiful and bright and hopeful and idealistic, and it can also be kind of twisted, kind of dark. I think Kazui really represents that, and I think he has immense potential due to his affinity to this, due to his curiosity, due to, I'm sure, the capacity for power that he has, similar to what Ichigo, I'm sure, had earlier in the series. And I've talked with people in streams and stuff that it would be really unexpected for Aizen to not dwell on that a little bit. So that's really fascinating too. I think Ichiga's really cute, Rukia and Renji's daughter. I think she's really cute. I really like her. I feel very protective about her in a sort of girl dad sort of way, but she doesn't really capture my attention thematically as much as Kazui at this point in time. So that's really interesting too. There's just so much potential here. I'm just gushing about all the things I could see coming from this arc, all the stuff that captured my imagination and heart when I first read the one-shot, and I'm like, oh god, why do I have to cope and hope for this thing that's may never come? But according to these leaks, it's very likely to come. Now, it may not be for a little while. From what I can tell, it could be a few weeks to a few months before it starts in the magazine, before Kubo starts writing this. But either way, it really seems like it's coming. It seems like it's on its way. There could be an overlap with Togashi and Kubo in Weekly Shonen Jump, and I cannot wait. Yeah, I just want more. I just want more Bleach. It means so much to me. And unlike the Hunter x Hunter video I recorded the other day, where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Am I going to do it on Sundays and maybe put One Piece and Kagurabachi on a break? Kagurabashi's on hiatus, so that's good. Maybe we'll put One Piece on the back burner and then binge it when we get back and then start One Piece on Sundays again. Or am I going to wait for it and do it Wednesday? I was unsure about that. I've kind of decided that I'm going to do Hunter x Hunters on Sundays. I digress. As opposed to that, where streaming the chapters and covering the chapters, I didn't know quite what to do with Hunter x Hunter. With this, I know for sure what I'm doing. Bleach Wednesdays will be back. Bleach Wednesdays will be back. I am going to, whenever it comes out, let's say it comes out in August or September, I will not be doing them weekly. I'm not going to be in the weekly hype cycle. You guys have fun with that. Have fun on the Discord. Have fun theorizing and being hype about all that. But for me personally, my journey with Bleach is tied to these 4 to 5 hour sessions on Wednesdays with you guys who know the story, who are talking in the Discord about spoilers and, oh, is AJ gonna freak out about this or whatever, and reading through it with me. I want that to continue, so I will be so excited and so having a bit of FOMO when Bleach comes out, when it's releasing, but I will wait, maybe till it's done before reading it and binging it and going through this hell arc. I was talking to Fiji Radman about the length it could potentially be, and for some reason I feel like it could be kind of in between the length of Substitution Igami and Soul Society. That's between 72, I believe, to 110, 115 chapters. Somewhere in between there seems like, to me, what would make sense. 80, 90, maybe 100 chapters for this hell arc. I would love that, and that would have Kubo doing this for a couple of years. At least. That feels like a good arc length for getting this potential across. But hey, I would be happy if it was just a modulo situation and it was just 20 to 30 chapters, if Kubo thinks that is all he needs to benefit the story in that way. If it's really short and tight and efficient in that way, sure, I'm happy for that too, and I'll check out that too with such passion and fervor and excitement. Whatever it is, that's my guess, but whatever it is, I will be there, and we will be there on Wednesdays, and we'll be going through it. But the TLDR is Bleach is going to be back in the magazine. Unless those leaks are just false for some reason, but by all accounts, it seems like they're good sources. Yeah, I can't wait. I really can't wait. What a world. Two of my favorite creators in Kubo and Togashi, two of my favorite stories in Bleach and Hunter x Hunter, back in the magazine with new material. Oh, what a life. What a life we live. All the video games on the horizon. We have Akane Banashi, Kagurabachi, One Piece, all the ongoings, all the... stories are amazing, man. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this announcement, maybe your thoughts on what the length will be, what it'll explore, any predictions you have, are you excited, all that sort of thing. Let me know if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.